Well, as a high school friend of mine once said, "What are you doing here? I only asked you to hang out." Nah, well, that's because you're bipolar. You had no idea why I was here, even though you asked me to be here. That's what Yankee fans feel like to me. Yankee fans, look, I get it. You lost to the Blue Jays, and you lost to them handedly. Let's not pretend that that three-run homer in Game 3 brought you any way closer to winning that series. But congrats to Aaron Judge, by the way. He seemed to wake up with the bat just a twitch in this postseason than he did in postseasons past. So good on him for actually stepping up when the moment mattered so you didn't get swept. Only a gentleman's sweep. Congrats. But Yankee fans on Twitter and Instagram and next to your grandma at the produce aisle at Costco, they're all screaming and crying because they said, "Oh, no one has it worse than Yankee fans. It's so hard to be a fan." Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, because I'm also a fan of a franchise that's won 27 World Series titles. Oh, wait, no. No one else has except you whiny little butthole. Quit crying. Quit your whining about your 27 franchise World Series titles while the rest of us are still meandering around the single digits. Okay? Yes. Does it suck to be a Yankee fan? Absolutely. Does it hurt to see a guy so inept at understanding the game of baseball that he quit calling games so he can go manage a team in Aaron Boone? Yeah, it hurts having a manager like that. Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if Craig Counsell has no feel for the game either. But listen, you're a Yankee fan, it's fine. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's all screwed from here. Maybe you should reshift your focus into not having so many hopes and dreams that this is the year that we're finally going to do it. We're going to do it since '09. We're going to party like it's 2009. Maybe this is the curse of A-Rod. I don't know. But I do know this. Yankee fans, if you want to change the course of this team, one, you have power. Quit buying tickets to go see this team if you don't want Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman in charge. It's quite simple. You hold the power. They're only going to open up the gates for as much as they do because they know that you'll pony up for it. They know that they can prey on your hopes and your dreams and your unlived ambitions that you're going to project on this team of 9 players on the field. They understand that. You know why? Because it's New York. Okay? They have windows. They see outside the C-suite. It doesn't look pretty outside in New York City now, does it? No, it doesn't. And so they're going to prey on your vulnerabilities. Stop paying to go see this team play. Write your congressman. I don't know. Do whatever you have to. But Aaron Boone can no longer manage this team. Brian Cashman can no longer be the general manager or the president of baseball operations or king of the flippin' Yankee universe, whatever his title is now, because he's been there since 1862. He can no longer be in charge of making the decisions for the on-field product of this team, and you can no longer have this ineptitude of a person, Aaron Boone, continue to be the manager of your New York Yankees. Guys, we're back. It's an earlier episode than we usually are. I'm headed on the road. Today is Thursday, Monday's ugly cousin. This is Box Scores and Bourbon.
Look at the box scores.
Box Scores
and Bourbon.
We check each other's box scores and scores online.
Baseball Box Scores.
So football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey.
Box Scores and Bourbon.
Welcome back, JB.
Welcome.
The last couple episodes I've started on the wrong page for our episode, but let me make sure we start on the right foot. Oh, look at you, French pressing on site. I miss my fresh press coffee. It's the best one. Well, cheers to your French brew. Cheers to everyone listening. I've already started my day. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, so I am having a glass of whiskey, no matter the time.
Well, I'm driving to Scottsdale. And
Yeah.
so it'll be 5 o'clock somewhere once I get there.
Yeah.
It'll be 5 o'clock in Scottsdale at around 11:30 p.m. That's when I'll start drinking.
There you go. I would not condone you drinking 4 fingers of whiskey and then getting on the road. from
No, as much as I would like to, I'd love to go back into a time when we didn't have seatbelts either, and we smoked cigars and drank bourbon in the middle of the day and sent men to the moon. But sadly, no. We have been raised by beta
Coincidentally,
males, and we can no longer do this anymore.
our mortality rate has gone up since the seatbelt thing
Cheers to
came
the
around.
beta males. You have ruined life for all of us.
You know what? Usually I'm the one that gets on like a soapbox talking about the Yankees, but I like to see it from the other perspective where I just heard you crap on the Yankees for another disappointing season instead of me screaming my sorrows. There's a lot of stuff that I agree about or agree with you about, but there's a couple of things that I don't agree with you with. First off, the whole you saying it's to the cry for pity the Yankees fans while also bragging that we have 27 championships. Both can be true. The expectations are so high for the Yankees.
We need to change them.
They are on the front page of all sports media, like all
Of
the time.
all
Like,
Bronx papers. Yes.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Of every paper in the Bronx, they're on the front page. Because you can't have on the front page the elderly woman stabbed because she grabbed one too many apples from the fruit stand. Look,
I'm just saying everybody else does such a good job at like building up your hopes and your dreams and your anticipation and your expectations for a team like the Yankees. So like you, of course, when it doesn't come to fruition, it like breaks your heart. But at the same time, you can look into the 2000s and 90s and be like, okay, well, we haven't had it that bad, but another year where like your hopes get built up so much for them to just come short. Can you honestly call it a gentleman's sweep when it's a 5-game series? Not too sure that necessarily can qualify as a gentleman's sweep.
gentlemen's sweep. There's only 4 games.
Well, yeah, sure. But the 5th one would have been winner take all, so it's like a weird fine.
Yeah, the 5th one would have been for a competent team run by a competent manager, but no, you didn't have that. Look, you can what I'm saying is, at some point, if you're going to sit there and say this Yankee team is bad, great. You're going to sit there and say, yes, we've also won 27 championships. Awesome. You did. Fantastic. Congratulations. But you cannot sit there and still have the same expectation if you as a Yankee fan is still going to invest all the money you do toward a team that shows no willingness at all to change strategy one bit. Yankee Stadium is Brian Cashman's coffin, okay? He bought his burial plot. It's right there. It's right there on the 4th floor. And that's where he's going to die. He's going to die underneath the same desk that George Costanza slept under. That's his burial plot. And he's not going to go anywhere unless Yankee fans make their voice heard. I remember hearing, A-Rod sucks. He's a bust. Blah, blah, blah. You won a World Series with him on a team. Yes, God, awesome. So happy. But then, and look, all credit to Aaron Judge, for being who he is in the regular season. And thank goodness his bat actually woke up this postseason. I mean, he came up with some clutch hits. Game 3, bottom 4, bottom 5? That 3-run shot on that pitch on the inside, huge 3-run homer to tie it. They end up winning the game. They extend it, so to a 4-game series, which is awesome. But at some point, like you have to stop. For me as a Cubs fan,
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part towards your expectations. I have never once paid for a ticket to go watch the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, so I'm doing my part.
Look, I can absolutely empathize with a fan base that is supposed to have such high expectations after being built up to be a dynasty. Look, Yankees have had 5 dynasties? 5? Okay, that's fantastic. The Cubs have had 2. So, and one of them was well before I was born. So and I wouldn't even consider it a dynasty still. And that's the thing is that only Yankee fans live in this world. Yankee fans are the only ones privy to this world of being lavished upon all
Well,
of these championships as recently as '09. So yes, it did happen this century.
yeah.
So they've been lavished upon all of these championships. They were spoiled by the world that George Steinbrenner created. And
So wait a minute. Are you gonna tell me if your team had 27 championships, you'd be like, oh, we don't need any more. You always want more
I'm not
championships.
saying that. I'm saying if you're going to it, and I'm not talking about you as a Yankee fan. I'm
No, I
talking
know.
about like just all Yankee fans in general.
I get
At
it. I
some
get it.
point, you just have to say this team stinks. It
Well,
stinks.
that's the thing that I have to kind of pause myself on thinking. The team itself doesn't stink. It's almost like we're in a fantasy league this year, and it's almost like the Yankees are the equivalent of the person that like doesn't know fantasy football, and they just draft the best player available when it's time to draft, but they end up with like 7 or 8 wide receivers because that was the best player available in the draft. This is what the Yankees give like comparisons to. I was listening to A-Rod this morning on something got posted about on his take. He was saying they don't have a bad team, they just have a bad roster that's constructed. They have a lot of good players, but they have 3 left-handed catchers and 5 technically DH hitters and 4 or 5 outfielders that like are supposed to be the bombers. Like they don't have a diversified roster. They just have a lot of really good players. They just don't have a well-built team as a whole, which is why I would actually pause myself from saying it's Aaron Boone's fault and it's more of Cashman's fault. I don't think Aaron Boone will go anywhere after this year, even though they still fell short. They lost to the division rival. I still don't think he's going anywhere. The attention should be put on Cashman for the way that he is bringing players to that roster. If you look at the individual player that they have on the roster, like going down the list, those individual players are really good. Bellinger, obviously, Judge. You can say Stanton is a really good player in his own way as a DH. Like you could still look at these players and say, yeah, you guys have a really good roster. They just don't work together because you can't put all of the same player on the field at the same time. That is my issue. That is a GM or a president of whatever you want to title the position. That is an issue that needs to be resolved at that level. I don't think it falls on Aaron Boone to fix that kind of stuff. He can only work with what is being brought to his team.
True, but look, I've seen a report that Aaron Boone allows whatever to happen. He has no say. He's not going to push back. He's just going to do and dealt with whatever he's dealt with. But at some point, you have to be the guy that's going to make the decisions on the like for the players on the field. Like,
right?
Even in Game 1 of the wild card series, Max Fried is just cruising, and he says, you know what, Max Fried, we need you fresh for 26 March against the Giants. I don't want your arm getting too tired. I need you to come out of that game right now. And what happened? Freaking Luke Weaver comes in and immediately loses the game for the Yankees. Immediately, 16 seconds, and the game is lost. So, I will give him props when he left Cam Schlittler in Game 3?
Yep.
Or Game 2? So
no, Game 3
was it
against
3?
the Red Sox.
Okay. When he left Schlittler in, I was like, hey, maybe Aaron Boone does have a feel for the game. Maybe he does, because this is a rookie pitcher out there throwing north of 100 pitches, and he is letting them cruise and mow down these Red Sox hitters. And I was like, maybe he's got it. Maybe he knows how to do this. And then just decision after decision within the World Series.
Division Series, not
World Series, Division Series. Thank you. But then even going back, that's why I said World Series. Going back to last year's World Series, last year's World Series showed a team that was inept at actually making basic plays.
True.
Basic plays.
But that
And
wasn't the problem this year, so maybe you could call that a more of a progression on the managerial, like coaching them up aspect. The problem with the Yankees that I noticed is that they could never have both sides of the ball clicking. Like when their pitching was on point, like game 3 against the Red Sox, or their batting was sputterish. When they're batting, they against the Blue Jays, game 2, they put up 7 runs. Was it game 1? They put up 7 runs, but their pitching was off, so they allowed 13. Like it's just you can't get both sides of the Yankees at any time, which is what I think was the downfall of them this season. Like you need your bats to be consistent, and I could for once finally say Aaron Judge was consistent in the postseason, which is something that we both say has not been the case with Aaron Judge in the postseason. He was consistent this year, but besides him, no other player was consistent on either side. Not batting, not on defense. It was hit or miss on what you were going to get from the Yankees roster. It was all over the place, and you just couldn't get a full game from both sides, which is what was the most stressful about it. If you're just falling out and the other team just beat you because they're better, fine. You lost to the better team. And I still think they lost to the better Blue Jays team. Overall, the Blue Jays were the better team. But the way they lost, because they were just, no matter what their pitching was doing for them, last night's game was not an offensive shootout. Their pitching held enough, but their bats were just completely asleep. They could not get anything going.
I mean, the pitching held up until the 8th inning.
Yeah, sure. But if you look at the Yankees and the way their roster is, they should be able to put up 4 or 5 runs to make that game closer and push that game into a more stressful 9th inning. They didn't. It was like a garbage time run when they ended up scoring that second run off Judge's RBI. It was really not as close as it even really looked in the scoreboard. Even in the scoreboard, it didn't look that close at all. But my point being, the roster has to be more reliable across the board. I don't think that's Aaron Boone's things to fix.
No, like I said, it's not. But there is a thing called a feel for the game, and Aaron Boone seems to. I've been watching baseball my entire life. It honestly just seems like Aaron Boone is just letting the things unfold before him.
Yeah,
like it's questionable at best, his decision making. And it seems every single year that, the Yankees led the league in offense, or at least in homers, and then they get out homered by the playoff team that had almost the least amount of homers in the majors this year. So and that's not Aaron Boone's fault, but there is the feeling I get when I watch this Yankees team is, I know he's only been the manager for 7 seasons. I get it, okay? But I think people still think he's been a manager for 20 years. It hasn't even been a decade. And I think that's my point. He's been the manager there for only 7 seasons, and it feels so much longer than that. It feels as if he's been there
it's
forever.
been so painful to go through.
Because, exactly, and if you're a Yankee fan and you're like, hey, we should have more pride than this. And we're watching these games, you can't sit here and tell me you watch these games and you watch the play on the field and you're like, hey, that's a team that's ready to go.
No.
And if you don't feel that way, that's Aaron Boone's fault. That is Aaron Boone not preparing the pieces he has to play a complete game. That falls solely on the manager, which is why this team is a bust. It is a failure. That Aaron Boone needs to be gone, and you need to bring in somebody who can actually whip this team into shape. And then, because if they got no control over the roster construction, but you got much control over roster management. And if you can't manage a roster in front of you, and it's not as if the Yankees don't have players, they've got players. They've got players for days. This team stumbled upon 94 wins. That is how bad this Yankees team is. It stumbled upon 94 wins but it's also a testament to the players they have because they can bumble into 94 wins. So if you are a Yankee fan, understandably so, you're upset. You want more out of this. I get it. It is your franchise. It is a 27-time World Series champion. But you can't sit here and tell me that you're watching this team on a daily basis, on a nightly basis, and saying, I have so much confidence in this team. This team looks raring to go. And if you feel that way, that is Aaron Boone's fault.
To wrap up the Yankees, because we've been going on for them for a while, I will say this, and we should probably get through the World Series before I dive into next year, but I will end this talk on the Yankees since their season is over. Talking about next year. Next year's season should definitely be the make or break year for the Yankees. They have all their offensive pieces. They're not. I've not looked at their contract. I don't think they're expected to lose too many big names or really any players. They have a good young roster on their pitching side. They're gonna get what's his name back as a starting pitcher. I'm blanking on his. Thank you. They're gonna get him back next year again. And lastly, this is gonna be their what is it? They're tied for the longest World Series. The 17 seasons without a World Series championship is the longest drought they have had. They're tied for that right now going into next year. So it's by far going to be a make or break year for Aaron Boone, and it should be for the entire organization. Next year should be a make or break because of all those things that I just mentioned for the Yankees as a whole.
Yeah. Well, just to finish up the baseball talk, Cubs Brewers game 4 tonight. Cubs were able to pull off an elimination staving game yesterday with another heart attack ninth inning. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And then the Phillies actually jumping on the Dodgers in Chavez Ravine last night, which was just absolutely a fireworks show. If your name rhymes with Lyle Warburg, you had an absolute doll of a night, just hitting bombs. And then, of course,
are we seeing some cracks in the pitching armor with this Dodgers series? Their pitching looked pretty good against the Phillies for the first 2 games. Last game, game 3, they put up 8 runs on them. Like I thought they were going to look more of a well-rounded.
Honestly, I think what it is Dave Roberts, just his overusage of the bullpen and reusing the same arms almost repeatedly every night. And at some point, the hitters, the lineup doesn't change, so the hitters are going to get a good feel for what's coming. And, the Phillies, I think they went off for 4 or 5 runs in the 7th or 8th inning last night. So it wasn't as if it was a blowout the whole game. It became a blowout at the end when the game was just too far to reach for the Dodgers. But this is a testament to this Phillies lineup who knows how to produce offense. And let's not forget, they almost won. What night was that? That was Monday night. Monday night. So they almost won game 2. Yeah. So the Phillies almost came back and won that game and made it a game apiece. It could be something where the Phillies hitters may have figured out something about the Dodger pitching as a whole. Maybe it could have been. Now it's going to be really difficult for the teams like the Cubs and the Phillies to actually come back and win their series after being down 2-0. But you win today, it's a 1-game series.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if you're down 2-0 and you win games 3 and 4, you're gonna feel real good about game 5 because you just staved off elimination twice. Yeah, why can't you do it a third time? Because now all the pressure the pressure is evenly distributed. It's on both teams now.
If you give up a 2-game lead on a 5-game series, all the pressure's on the team that gives up the 2-game lead. I would say that, which leads me to the most impactful series right now, which is the Tigers and the Mariners series going into game 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably, no disrespect to the Mariners, this is probably the worst position they could be in going into Game 5. They needed to take out the Tigers in the first 4 games. Game 5, obviously it's winner take all. Obviously there's a lot of pressure. Every team could win, but if you put the Tigers lineup against the Mariners lineup and you say they're going to hash it out just one game, how many times out of 10 would you pick the Tigers to win that game?
Well, the other thing is, if I'm the Mariners, I'm feeling pretty deflated. You had a 3-0 lead. Bryce Miller was he was slinging it yesterday. He had some trouble in the 5th, and then Dan Wilson took him out, and then the wheels immediately fell off. The Tigers ended up, what was it? It was 3-2 by the end of that inning, and then it became 4-3, and then I mean it got bonkers after that. 9-3 Tiger win. 9 unanswered runs for a team that you were 12 outs away from sending home. So baseball is a crazy sport. You can win game 3, you can and look, the Mariners Tigers has been back and forth. It was Tigers, Mariners, now Tigers. So this one's been more back and forth than anything. But if you're a Philly, if you're a Cub fan, then of course you're like, hey, don't let us win tonight. You let us win tonight. We are winning this series because there's nothing that's stopping us. But if you're a Mariner or a Tiger fan, I mean, it's really a toss-up. And I don't know if they announced the starters.
I don't. Let me see if they have them on here.
No. Okay. So good. So Tarik Skubal is starting for the Tigers tomorrow. If I'm the Mariners, I'm crapping my pants because it's Tarik Skubal's he's been money. He's been absolute money. Which is why the Mariners needed to win yesterday. They had to win yesterday. So Tarik's coming in. He's gonna tell AJ Hinch, by no means are you taking me out of this effing game. I am staying in this game to its conclusion. You are not touching me. You come near me, I'm throwing a baseball at your head. Like, just stay in the dugout. Tarik Skubal is a dog, and he can't wait. He cannot wait.
Crappy position to be in as a Mariners. Game 5, winner take all, and you have Skubal on the mound pitching for your postseason. Oh boy, I swear, if the Mariners win Game 5, this should catapult them to the confidence of no other to get to the World Series. Taking out probably the potential Cy Young winner again this year in the divisional round, it should give you a lot of momentum. That being said, we have to acknowledge the fact that the Tigers were probably the best team all season long going into August, September, where their wheels kind of just fell off. It is going to be a hard matchup for the Mariners to win this game.
But need I remind you, we opened this episode at the top talking about manager inefficiencies.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take AJ Hinch completely off the hook for the wheels falling off the Tigers' ability to win the Central this year, but they made the playoffs. They beat Cleveland. They have taken Seattle to a Game 5. So this is and remember, Tarik pitched Game 1. He went 7 innings, gave up 2 earned, had 9 strikeouts. And the Tigers ended up winning that game in extras. So this is going to be a game where Tarik Skubal's like, hey, do not take me out. I'm staying in. No one's touching this game. Nobody. It's me. It's me time. That's it.
If it was any other pitcher, I would say the Mariners have a really good chance of winning. But because Skubal is on the mound, I'm going to have to say the Tigers probably win this series.
You say what now?
I said if it was any other pitcher for the Tigers on the mound for Game 5, I would give the Mariners a really good chance of winning. Because Skubal is on the mound, I'm going to say that the Tigers win the series against the Mariners tomorrow.
Yeah. There is nothing about Tarik Skubal being on the mound that doubts my decision making and saying that I think the Tigers have this series.
Yeah.
The Tigers have this series. That's it.
But I mean, it has been the year of the miraculous run of the Seattle Mariners. They could prove both of us wrong and continue their miraculous season.
I know it feels like a very Seattle Mariner thing to unseat the Astros as the AL West champions and then not make the ALCS. It's a very Mariners thing to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for the baseball talk. Let's still go to the other major sport that is getting some attention, which is NFL football.
Yes.
I asked you a question as we were preparing for this episode that we left brewing in the back of our minds. And we're going to now jump in. Yeah, I ask you a lot of questions in life, mostly what is the meaning of life. But in this time, I asked you about the Chiefs and I asked you about the Eagles. And you said the Chiefs lost by getting chiefed.
Yes.
Who got chiefed more in their loss? Was it the Eagles losing against the Broncos, or was it the Chiefs losing against the Jaguars?
I'm going to say the Chiefs losing to the Jags. That final drive, okay? So they didn't run the ball one time in that final drive in order to win the game, and it was driving me nuts because my wife was watching it with me, and I said, run the ball. You have 40 seconds left. You have a timeout left. Run the ball. You're in the red zone. And my wife was like, well, does it matter? I mean, the other team's going to need a touchdown. I said, yes, because it's Patrick Mahomes, and he has 3 timeouts left. Yes, that's an eternity. That's like watching the last 2 minutes of an NBA game. It's going to last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's and just the way, like, I forgot, was it Jake Crane that said that that last play could have been arrested for driving under the influence? Like,
No, Lawrence running.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence stumbling twice. And I understand the first time. The second time, I don't. Like, that's a toddler learning how to walk. Or you're Biff leaving the strip club and you just picked up your keys and then you immediately forgot how to walk again. So you fell to the ground a second time. And then you just stumbled into the end zone as if you rammed your Corvette into the stop sign trying to turn the corner too fast. The way that Jaguars game ended, it was just, I mean, they got absolutely chiefed. How many times can we sit here and say, how on earth did Mahomes make that pass? How on earth did Mahomes score that touchdown? That play looked dead to rights. But no, Mahomes made it happen. Trevor Lawrence pulled a Mahomes on Mahomes. And it was at the moment it happened, I looked at my wife and said, Mahomes just got Mahomes. Like, this does not happen to Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't. He does this to other people.
Yeah. when he went down the field and scored that touchdown to take the 3-point lead, was it? I forget what the score difference was. I figured that's how the Chiefs are going to steal this win. I did not expect that final drive from Trevor Lawrence. First off, I have probably every episode since the season started crapped on Trevor Lawrence just a little bit because I don't believe in him. And I did not believe he had what it took to lead a game-winning drive in that capacity. And the first 2 throws that he made during that drive were impressive on their own. Then they got obviously a pass interference in the end zone that got the ball to the 1-yard line, which led us to the random, whatever you want to call it.
To be remembered forever as the DUI. Yeah.
They might, if he does something great with the Jaguars, they might take him on the floor and make that a statue of Trevor Lawrence, because that'll perfectly embody what he has looked like for the Jaguars.
Maybe his statue will look more like him than Dwayne Wade looks like Dwayne Wade.
You know what? I don't know if you saw this, though. Did you see the analysis of watching Chris Jones during the stumbling touchdown play? Where after he initially fell, Chris Jones just stopped. He just stopped and watched the play develop, and he sees him come around the corner, get up, and he just watches him and kind of just goes, crap, we just let him score. Like,
He's
The
probably
leader,
afraid that if he touches him, then it's roughing the passer, and then they
maybe,
move
but
up half a yard.
for how aggressive and how much
The
of
way
a
roughing the passer penalties were called this weekend, I wouldn't doubt any defenders thinking, if I touch him right now, he's on the ground, they're throwing a flag on me.
fair, but he is the leader of that defense, and you expect a little bit more effort out of him
Yeah.
instead of just standing there on that play. But on the other side, let's talk about the Eagles losing to the Broncos, because that also was something to be very critical of. They had a 14-point lead going into halftime. They ended up not scoring the entire third quarter,
Yep.
and they let the Broncos beat them in the way that usually the Eagles beat other teams. So again, the same way that the Chiefs always win these close games, the Eagles watched it happen to them on the Broncos side. And it's just, to me, it's more telling because we keep seeing this type of situation happen with the Eagles for the first four weeks, starting with the first game of the year against the Cowboys, where CeeDee Lamb barely misses a wide open pass to really win that game for them, most likely win that game for them. The Rams game, where they blocked a field goal, where for the Rams to win that game. The Tampa game, where Tampa really had a position to win that game too, and then they ended up throwing the ball 0 passing yards in the second half, and they still managed to win that game. Statistics like that, and let's not even talk about the fact that Saquon Barkley is averaging like 3 yards a carry, which is unheard of for a running back like him. The way they are winning these games, the way they had won the first 4 games of the year, was bound to catch up to them. And when they came across a really good defense in the Broncos, which had only lost 2 games by a buzzer beater field goal, it was perfect. It was the perfect storm for the Eagles to lose that game because they have been so unreliable in the type of identity that they have for their team this year. We can't sit here and say the Eagles have an identity that they're going to rely on all year long. It was not a very comforting game. Even if you lost a close game, it was not a comforting game for what the Eagles are going to look like for the future. And maybe I'm exaggerating off of one loss. They're still 4-1, but just the way that game developed and how they lost that game gives me reason for concern.
Let me ask you a trivia question. How many carries did Saquon Barkley have that entire game?
That entire game? I don't know. Like probably 12? I didn't see them running the ball too much.
He ran it 6 times.
Jesus Christ. When I said 12, that was me under.
He had 6 carries for 30 yards in that game. He was averaging 5 yards a carry. The Eagles were up 17-3 going into the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, again, I've said it, I will shout it from the mountaintops as if I am wearing lederhosen and the Sound of Music. These hills are alive with play callers who don't run the football enough. If you're up 17-3 and going into the fourth quarter and the entire game, your running back had 6 carries.
Yeah.
Why are we not running the football? Why are we not running the football? And look, the Eagles really shot themselves in the foot. They have penalties on both sides of the ball. You brought up the missed opportunities on both sides of the ball. The offense was just shot to hell. But if you're up 17-3 against an offense led by Bo Nix, it is inexcusable that you let the Broncos score 18 unanswered and win the football game.
Yeah,
it is inexcusable.
That's rough. When I was saying 12, I didn't pay attention to specifically his stats, but 12 seemed like a low number because just watching that entire game, it did not look like they were running the ball at all. So
I think they had 12 carries the entire game. 6, 8, 10, 11. 11. And that's including 2 carries by Jalen Hurts for 3 yards.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Eagles. Like I said, there's reason for concern when it comes to that stuff. But what is the issue with the Eagles? They don't throw the ball one entire game against the Rams. The first half, they're like not airing it out. They finally air out the ball, and they find a way to win. Then they go against Tampa. They have 0 yards throwing in the second half against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they find a way to win. They're like a pendulum of what what their identity is, which is why I'm saying it is not normal to see an Eagles team that has like no identity. There's just nothing
They
there.
do have an identity. Their identity is their offensive game plan is not to score touchdowns. Their offensive game plan is to get within the 5 so they can operate tush push plays. That's their offensive identity. And I'm dead serious. When Drew Brees said this is a boring offense, he's not wrong. He's
No.
not wrong at all. There is zero identity other than trying to get to the goal line to run some derivative of a tush push or a trick play off of the tush push. This is their entire game plan. Their entire offensive game plan hinges on getting within the 5-yard line. That's it. It's maddening because look, and I'm surprised Nick Sirianni even survived his trip home, giving up 18 unanswered in Philly when you gave Saquon the ball 6 times. And oh, by the way, AJ Dillon was 2 for 12. So it's not like they weren't averaging like good averages. Like you hand the ball to Saquon twice, you have a first down. That's it. Give Saquon the ball once, give AJ the ball once, boom, first down. That's all. I mean, but when you and then of course AJ Brown has to celebrate the anniversary of his annual dumb tweet, and then of course he's going to celebrate it before the game this week, and then Jalen Hurts overthrows him by 5 yards, and now everyone's going to think, oh, did Jalen do that on purpose to treat AJ a lesson? Blah 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 blah. Look, Jalen Hurts made a bad pass. Okay, that offense was broken in the fourth quarter. Okay, nothing was working for them on either side of the ball, which is why Bo Nix was allowed to come and orchestrate an 18-point comeback in the fourth quarter alone.
Yeah.
This can't happen. It just can't.
There's definitely something going on with that team, and we have this conversation every year. Last year, they proved that they don't care about the drama and they won a Super Bowl. But there's always seems to be some miscommunication, some internal dynamics that seems to be clashing with the Eagles. This week, I just think they're not on the same page, even with their wide receivers. During the game, I was paying attention to the way Jalen Hurts was throwing the deep passes. 3 or 4 times, I saw him air it out for like a 20-plus yard pass. And the ball every single time was on the opposite side of the receiver. If the receiver was going towards the sideline, the ball was on his inside shoulder multiple times. It just seemed like they're not on the same page. It is not common to have something like that going on with the team that was unstoppable last year.
Yeah. I think the greatest consternation this week was the Patriots-Bills. Patriots beating the Bills 23-20. I understand Bills fans' consternation every time Ed Hockley steps on the field to ref one of their football games. It seems to be a new record high in team penalties. Hockley's very trigger happy with the laundry, especially when he officiates Bills games allegedly. And I had a friend of mine texting me throughout that game saying how pissed off he was, but I said, bro, you are overlooking the fact that the Bills have 2 turnovers this game. And the moment I said that, Josh Allen threw another interception. So this is a Bills team that led the league in the lowest amount of giveaways last year with 8, only had 1 up until this game. Yeah. And they had 3 total in this one game. That is unacceptable. If you get 3 turnovers, you lose by 3. Yeah, you lost because of the turnovers. That's how you lost. Yep. And to sit there and say, to foolishly and foolhardily be, oh, the Bills defense, they can carry us. You're a fool. They cannot carry you because this team is built on Josh Allen and Josh Allen the snowplow. That's it. And I thought the Saints game was just the Bills playing down to the Saints. I saw this game against the Patriots. I feel like the Bills come underprepared. I don't think they're playing down. I just think they're not prepared. And most of this not most, all of the offense seems to hinge on all the time on Josh Allen. Now we can talk about the Jaguars and the Chiefs and how both Mahomes and Lawrence led each of their respective teams in rushing yards. But how many times does Josh Allen do that with the Bills? I mean, this entire offense is centered on him, and I get it. You don't have a lot of playmakers on the outside running down the field, but you do have a three-headed monster in a rushing attack in James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson. So there should be there should be more emphasis on the run game, being able to alleviate some of I wouldn't call it pressure on Josh Allen. I mean, I don't think the dude, I think he eats pressure for breakfast. Like, he loves it. But in order for you to have a more balanced attack, I feel like, maybe just a twinge more emphasis on the run game.
I will pause you though, because Cook does he's second in the league in rushing yards, right behind Jonathan Taylor. So there is, but a lot of his yardage comes because he's so explosive, and he's like broke rushes for like huge yardage. So maybe I don't have the stats in front of me as far as like how many runs it's based off of like long.
In that game between James Cook, Ty Johnson, and Ray Davis had a combined 19 carries. James Cook alone should have 20.
Yeah.
Alone.
Yeah, because he's averaging 5 yards a carry, so he's definitely getting like explosive runs.
Yeah.
So they will have to get to a point, especially going into the harsher winter games, where they have to rely on develop the rushing game and rely on James Cook to carry the ball and Josh Allen to just kind of be facilitating that offense. That has to be part of the evolution for the Bills, especially if this is the way the outcome is going to be whenever there's some pressure on their defense to kind of keep that game close. They have to migrate towards not putting everything on Josh Allen's shoulders.
Yeah.
There is one last one, though, and we're talking about running backs. So let me bring the last running back into this conversation on a team that is on the greatest of downfall that I have ever seen. Derrick Henry is 14th in the league in rushing yards right now, and his team is 1-4. The Ravens, I'm going to ask you this. I don't think they're in a position to where they are going to be in a comfortable playoff position. They might sneak into a wild card just based off of everything else that goes on in the AFC. I am worried that they're not even going to make the playoffs. Do you have the same worry for the Ravens?
Yeah. Or you go ahead and finish.
Yeah. Do you have the same worry for the Ravens?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So I looked at their schedule. Okay. Because I came out of last week's game thinking, okay, well, if the Ravens are going to get back on track, surely it's going to be at home against the Texans. Wrong. We were all wrong. Okay. Yeah. There's not a human being in the Houston metro area that picked the Texans to beat Baltimore with or without Lamar. So I looked at their schedule. They're at home again this week against the Rams.
Yep.
They could very well lose that game.
Yeah.
And then they go on a pretty delicious 6-game stretch. They play the Bears, they play the Dolphins, they play the Vikings, the Browns, the Jets, and the Bengals. There's a very good chance before their meeting with the Steelers first week of December that the Ravens are 7-5.
Yep.
There's a very good chance that they are. Because you look at the teams they lost to. They lost to the Bills. That was that insane game where Buffalo came back. And then they beat the Browns handedly, which they should have. They lost to the Lions. I mean, everyone seems to lose to the Lions anyway. But that was a competitive game. They lost to the Chiefs. It was the most points the Chiefs have scored this year. It was 37-20 because of the poorest Baltimore defense. And then they just get absolutely hammered by Houston. Just proposing that they lose to the Rams because that is the source of Matthew Stafford's back injury. He is carrying this team. I can see Baltimore going on a 6-game win streak before they play the Steelers. And then
The only one that I would have pause on is the Vikings game. Like there's some stability on that quarterback position, which was the worry with JJ McCarthy and now Carson Wentz leading that team. That would be the only game that I could say maybe they'll lose that one.
the only thing about that Viking team is that Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator. Now, for all the thoughts I had of him as a head coach and just what a cry bully he is because he sucks at being a head coach, this dude knows how to run a defense, and that's the only thing that I'm going to give Minnesota right now is that right there. But if John Harbaugh can get this team together, there's a good chance they could be 7-5 going into the Pittsburgh game. Now, this is where it gets hard because starting with that Steeler game, was this 18, 17, 16, 14? No, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. That Week 14 game against the Steelers, after that, they played the Bengals, which should be a win. But then they end the season at home against New England, go into Lambeau, and then they ended in Pittsburgh. So, and I'm looking at this schedule for Baltimore. It's not the easiest of schedules. It's not. When you have to play Buffalo and Detroit and Kansas City. And look, Houston was a team that we all looked at the beginning of the year and said, probably, they could probably win the division. And then, but being 1-4 hurts. And losing that first game of the season at Buffalo hurts even more because you should have won that game. And so I'm not saying Baltimore is going to – but here's the thing. This division is going to come down to either – let's assume Joe Flacco doesn't make any real impact in Cincinnati, okay? Let's just assume –
Well, I don't know. He did some miraculous things.
Look. I'm not saying that they can't make a run. I'm not saying that. But when you look at this division, okay, this is Baltimore's saving grace. When you look at the division, you have Pittsburgh at 3-1, Cincy at 2-3, and Baltimore, Cleveland at 1-4. For all the talk of Baltimore being 1-4, they're still only 2 out of the division lead, and they still have to play the Steelers twice this year.
Yeah.
Let's not, I'm not going to sit here and say that Baltimore's cooked. I'm not going to say that at all. Because even when I look at Kansas City lost Jacksonville. They're still 2-3. They're 1 game out of the division lead. We have sat here and we have beat to death the Kansas City Chiefs. And if Chiefdom should be concerned if they, fall to 1-3 or 1-4, whatever, they're 2-3. Okay, those are the facts. They're 1 game out. The Chargers had that horrific loss to Washington. And Denver just had a gimme against Philly. Okay? So neither one of those things are true about those teams. I don't think the Chargers are who they played against Washington. And the Broncos definitely aren't going to do that. Again, it's not going to happen. I just don't see it happening. Because neither here nor there. But if talking about Baltimore, okay? Right. Yes, Lamar Jackson is out.
Yep.
How long is he out for? 6 weeks?
I haven't seen anything about.
I think it's like 6 to 8 weeks.
It's a prolonged hamstring injury, which is like they always say it's a day-to-day because if they designate him anything longer, they just put him in IR. Yeah. But right now he's day-to-day with a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
So he's for sure not playing the Rams. After that, they have the bye week, which is probably a saving grace for them to have a somewhat early bye week to give him that time to recover that hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best case scenario is that they go into the Rams, they competitive, maybe they can find a way to steal that game if they put the ball in Derrick Henry's arms the entire game. But then they have a bye week, and after that they have whatever you want to call it. But if it is a 6-week injury, they could lose every single one of these games. There's no way. What business does Baltimore have having Cooper Rush as the backup quarterback to a mobile quarterback? That is the part.
2 quarterbacks on the roster.
But why Cooper Rush? As a Cowboys fan, which is where he his roots are. I could have told you Cooper Rush runs a sluggish offense where he dink and dunks the entire way down the field, and you just hold your breath that they don't have go into a third and long, because then that's the end of the drive. There is nothing promising about you having Cooper Rush as a backup quarterback besides the quote unquote experience and leadership of him having the experience of being on the field and having that like backup quarterback experience on the sideline. It makes no sense to me. That's probably the biggest downfall for them, that they don't have like a comparable backup quarterback that matches well with the offense that they have built for Lamar Jackson. You have to like completely reinvent your offense for Cooper Rush. You don't want to have two offenses for a team. You build your pieces around the type of offense that you're going to have. Cooper Rush doesn't fit into that offense. If he plays for more than just the Rams game, the Ravens are going to be in trouble for every one of those games that they have after their bye week.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and discount the state that the Ravens are in and how poorly they were set up behind Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to discount that at all. That's a big problem. It's the most important position in NFL is the quarterback position. And when you're all pro, potentially future Hall of Fame quarterback is out for multiple weeks, yes, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to sit here and just count them out, because this is still John Harbaugh coaching this team. He still has the uncanny ability to be able to get the most out of his players. This defense, yes, in fact, does seem lost since Mike Macdonald left to go be the head coach at Seattle, which Mike Macdonald is a terrific head coach.
And they're hurt across the board, though. You have to keep in mind they are hurt across the board.
They are. They're like this year's Niners. They're hurt everywhere, and and they're 1-4, but they're still only 2 out. And this is a weak division. Without Joe Burrow there, this is a weak division, because we can sit there and say Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer already, but let's just see what he can continue to cook in Pittsburgh. But I'm not going to discredit Baltimore just yet, and I'm going to reserve my actual take for what the Rams will be until after they play the Rams game. Because if they lose to the Rams, I'm expecting that to happen.
So you mean the Ravens? You said you're going to reserve your Rams take. You mean the Ravens?
No, yeah. So thank you. I'm reserving my Ravens take until after they play the Rams game, because I'm expecting the Rams to win that game. I don't see the Rams coming out sluggish again like they did against San Francisco. I don't see that happening. This Rams defense is super young. It's super talented. And the mistakes they made in that game don't normally happen. So I'm going to reserve my take on the Ravens until after the Rams game, because that 6-game stretch where they play the Bears, that's going to be the key there. If they can win these easy games, if they can win the games they should, because 1-4 or 1-5, I still think this Ravens team is more talented than Chicago. This Ravens team is more talented than Miami. This Ravens team is more talented than Cincinnati, than Cleveland. This is a very talented team. There's too much talent infused on this field for me to sit there and say, "Oh, the Ravens are out of it."
I don't know. I mean, I guess I should pause my worry, but they have dug themselves a very deep hole going into the middle of the season, and they better hope some of their injured players come back, and they better hope that Lamar Jackson doesn't have a Joe Burrow type of injury where he's just out for a few months, because then they're really in trouble. And they were my Super Bowl pick, so I'm not looking for. Well, they were my AFC representing the AFC in the Super Bowl pick, so I'm not looking for them to necessarily fall off a cliff. If anything, I'm hoping for the best for them, so I can actually have my predictions go well.
Lamar is targeted to come back Week 8 against the Bears. So they play the Rams this week. They have a bye week, and then Week 8 they have the Bears. That's when he's supposed to come back.
Yeah.
If Lamar's back for that Bears game and for that 6-game stretch, and he's healthy, absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe the Ravens can go on a run. Absolutely.
Sure. And then the division will come down to possibly, more likely, the Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't think either one of us sat here and put the Pittsburgh Steelers in the conversation for the division, projected division race between the
Yeah.
Steelers and the Ravens. I don't think either one of us chose that to be possibly the situation we'd be in.
Yeah. No, at least not that close. Maybe I did. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't remember our rankings, but I know I didn't put the Steelers second. I don't think I don't.
You
know
never
that I
put the
did.
Steelers second. You hate them.
I put the Ravens and then the Bengals, which at the time seemed like a very reasonable projection to make. Now everything's upside down in that division.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're done, JB.
We are done.
How was your coffee and cigar mix? I don't think I've ever
it's
had
delicious.
that.
This was a Rocky Patel Edge. They didn't have any labels for it, but this looks like almost like a Connecticut. It's nice though. It's nice, easy, goes good with the coffee. So
Nice.
yeah,
I brought out my Buchanan's Masters bottle.
nice.
Since that lump sum of bottles that I had for my birthday, where everybody gave me whiskey, I'm completely out of whiskey. So this is the last bottle I have left.
You're a great American.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go restock here soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Folks, we are done. You can find us, Box Scores and Bourbon, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Additional content at BSB Sports 24 on TikTok, X, and Insta. And until next time, stay thirsty.
Cheers. Cheers to everyone but Jerry Jones.